This week, we had the opportunity to travel to Brighton. And of course, we couldn't resist the temptation to record and share the experience with you. Right here where we are standing is the iconic Brighton Railway Station. We've just stepped off the 1536 Southern Railway train from London, Victoria. And the moment you arrive, you can feel it. The blend of history, movement, and the coastal charm that makes the station unlike any other. Brighton Station is the city's principal railway gateway. From here, three major lines meet: the Brighton Main Line heading north to London, the East Coast Way stretching eastwards towards Hastings, and the West Coast Line running west to Portsmouth. It's the southern terminus for some, the start of an adventure for others, and for over 14 million people a year, it's a place they pass through on their way somewhere else. But the story of this station begins almost 2 centuries ago. Built by the London and Brighton Railway in 1840, the very first trains from here didn't go to London. They went west to Shoreham by sea. Just a year later, in 1841, engineers completed the Clayton Tunnel, carving a path inland to connect Brighton and Haywards Heath and London Bridge. By 1846, the London Road Viaduct had been built, opening the way east and beyond. I've always wondered about the workmanship that went into building these railway stations, the strategic vision behind the planning of these routes, so precise, so ambitious, that centuries later, they're still in use. Back in the 1840s, when Brighton Station was first conceived, railway engineering was still in its bold youth. Every mile of track was surveyed and measured by hand, gradients calculated with painstaking care, and structures like the Clayton Tunnel and London Road Viaduct were not just feats in engineering, but monuments to Victorian ingenuity. Materials had to be hauled by horse and cart, ironwork forged in local works, and stone cut to exact dimensions without the machinery we take for granted today. The routes were not just about getting from A to B. They were lifelines, linking coastal towns to London, opening trade, tourism, and communication. It's no exaggeration to say that the vision of those early railway planners still shapes how we move today. It's also remarkable to think about the sheer human effort behind such a project. This was an era before health and safety regulations as we know them. Men worked for long hours in harsh weather, sometimes at great personal risk. And yet, despite the challenges, they built with a permanence and artistry that speaks for itself. Every arc of the viaduct, every iron rib of the station roof was not only functional but beautiful. They were building for the long term. And here we are, almost 200 years later, still stepping through the space they created. And then there's the strategic brilliance. These railways were more than just engineering projects. They were acts of economic foresight. Brighton's link to London turned the town into a seaside escape for the capital's residents almost overnight. The placement of these lines along the coastal and inland didn't just follow geography. It followed opportunity, mapping, the growth of towns, and the flow of goods before those changes even happened. Standing here, it's impossible not to admire the way these routes have stood the test of time, still carrying people and ideas just as they did in the Victorian age. The site they chose was not for the faint-hearted. Half a mile from the seafront and 70 feet above sea level, the land had to be cut and shaped to create a gentle enough gradient for the trains. Alongside the passenger platforms, they built good yards, locomotive sheds, and even a railway works. This wasn't just a station, it was a beating heart for the railway in Sussex. For contrast, think about a very different journey, one we made from Aberystwyth to Brighton. Aberystwyth, perched on the wild coast of West Wales, feels a world away from Sussex. The trip takes around 6.5 hours, with at least 4 train changes. You begin with a Transport for Wales service from Aberystwyth to Birmingham International, winding through the rugged countryside and small rural stations. From Birmingham International, it's on to an Avanti West Coast train to London Euston, fast, smooth, and built for the long-distance travel. Then comes the hop across London via the Underground to Victoria Station before catching a southern train down to Brighton. It's a journey that spans coastlines, cities, and countless landscapes, and by the time you step off at Brighton, you've crossed half of Britain. What strikes me most about the trip is the contrast between operators and regions. In Wales, the trains are smaller, more intimate, and deeply connected to their communities. They feel like lifelines threading through remote valleys. In England, especially on the Brighton route, the trains are bigger, faster, and built for volume. A constant stream of commuters, tourists, and day trippers. Both have their charm, but it's the combination that makes the journey so memorable.
Stations to Brixton.
Mind the gap, please.
Bo ją krew pobierali.
A, no dobra.
Ale w ogóle przyjeżdżali Magdalena i Krystian i to nie chcę wyjechać.
Serio? Co?
Ale czemu się zawsze przyjmujemy, że nie wiem? Będziemy sobie nie było?
If you see something that doesn't look right, start or text British Transport Police on 61016.
13 lat.
We'll